Let's turn to the college game. The first games are true warm-ups for our three area teams, although K-State has had a knack for maybe making those games a little more interesting than they maybe should be. But Thursday night, it's Murray State at Missouri, Lindenwood at Kansas. I'm going to do it this way because we obviously are in a non-full football podcast mode. These teams are all their combined over-under, I think, is 28.5. I think fans will be disappointed with a 7-win season in any case for any of these three teams. But let's go one by one with potential areas of concern when you look at, well, let's start with the Missouri Tigers.
With the Missouri Tigers, things went so well last year that they are on a giant uptick. But at this point last year, there were tons of question marks about would the coach make it through the season, who was going to be the starting quarterback, and then they beat K-State, hit a 61-yard field goal, and never looked back. Danny, it's hard to sustain excellence, and it's hard when everyone expects you to be so good and so flawless. So I think Missouri's going to have to show us that what Drinkwitz has and what Missouri football is going to be a better level year after year after year. Last year was magical. Will they be able to follow that up? The schedule sure lays out well for them. There's a big chance, and they should be able to ease into the season, so I generally feel good about it. But the Missouri fans have an expectation that they're going to the college football playoff, and that's a lot of stress on the shoulders. So we'll see how they handle it. I'm really interested to see how Eli Drinkwitz handles being a coach that can have his swagger and own the world, because the swagger play that he had, he stuck with it. He was true to himself. But you and I were sitting there going, boy, where's the substance? What's going to happen? And in 2023, he hit it. We don't have those questions now. How is he going to play out as being a coach that's in favor with everybody and can show that Steve Spurrier type of swagger that we saw when he was the Florida coach? How is that going to play when Missouri's the favorite? I'll be very interested to watch it and see. But I do think their wide receiving core, Danny, on a positive, is the best in the country.
Right.
Not just Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, their tight ends. I mean, their receiving core and Brady Cook, the way he fights and claws, you got to be excited about that offense. And Missouri's defense has been solid, physical, very high on the Tigers. But how are they going to handle all the people patting them on the back as they unfold this season?
Well, substance over style certainly would be a good way to describe Lance Leipold and the Kansas Jayhawks, that's for sure. By the way, Stan, a quick trivia question before we start, and you'll be fine if you don't get it, so you're not going to be docked college football guru points. Do you know Lindenwood's nickname?
Lions?
You got it. The Lindenwood Lions. I cannot stump Stan. They will provide the opposition. I can't even believe they're a Division I team. But anyway, Kansas plays them. A reflection of the season is the fact that, you see on ESPN, which I'm looking at right now, they have, how the lowest tickets you can get. Well, in Missouri, you can get tickets for $16 because they got a big stadium, 62,000. Kansas is playing at Children's Mercy Park. There's only 20,000 seats. Lowest ticket available, $55. Anyway, the Kansas Jayhawks fans they're probably not like Missouri fans. They're not expecting that, they're going to go to the college football playoff or anything. But a step back would probably be seen as disappointing, and it's tough for Lance Leipold. He keeps stacking accomplishment on accomplishment, and now expectations are super high.
Yes, Lindenwood is called a team that most of us don't know anything about or would recognize or know their mascot, Danny. It's called the perfect scheduling job by KU. Because you said what? They're Division I. So, that's the kind of team you want to play and ease into a season. Lance Leipold is all about substance. This year is a great opportunity for Kansas. The way the schedule lays out, every year is going to be schedule-driven now. That's one of the sad things about this conference realignment and the big conferences, Danny, is every year is going to be a little too much about what the schedule's like. But Missouri and Kansas hit the lotto in what their season looks like this year. For Kansas, they only play one team all year, the K-State Wildcats on the road, who are currently ranked in the top 25 to start the year, Danny. So they have a big chance to be favorites in almost every game. I think at the end of the year, Kansas football will take a stride forward and be in it for the long term, a continual improving program. How much do you have to hit and strike when you've been given an opportunity? That's a giant question. If you really believe in Lance Leipold, then this year should be exciting and no matter what happens, you know you're going to be back next year. Others would say you cannot lose these opportunities with Jalen Daniels back at quarterback. If he stays healthy with the schedule KU has in the new Big 12 and the opportunity to not have to play Oklahoma and Texas, why not get into the Big 12 football championship for the first time ever? It's all in play right now. For Kansas, the question marks that I have is obviously the health of the quarterback. That's the easy one, right? And the other thing, Danny, is what about these games in Kansas City? If we believe in home field advantage,
right,
that's your fans cheering for you, okay? But there's another big part, a practical part of home field advantage, Danny. That is the comfortableness of the wind patterns, the turf type, the angles of views where the lights are for a night game. When you practice and play around your stadium all the time, Danny, you truly have a home field advantage. You like golf. Maybe a lot of your listeners like golf. How much easier is it for you to go play a course that you know about, Danny?
Right.
Where you're hitting an approach shot and it looks like a green up there, but you know it's not a green. You know it's specific, that there are certain parts of the green that you want to land the ball in and where it's going to roll. What a big advantage that is. Kansas does not have that this year, Danny. That's a big point. They do not have that this year. Children's Mercy will be a lot of fun. How about a packed stadium in a unique environment is going to be pretty cool for that first game.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to Arrowhead Stadium, what's it going to be like when Colorado or Iowa State come in there?
Iowa State especially.
Can you imagine Iowa State may have as many fans as Kansas?
Yeah.
So it may be a cool neutral site feel. It may be a cool neutral site feel, but what kind of home field advantage is Kansas going to lose out on this year? So that's a big question for me. We have to take that into account.
Absolutely the case. It's Tennessee Martin for the Wildcats on Saturday. And, of course, you'll be on the call on the K-State Network. 38 years now? Is that correct, I believe?
Yeah, I'm getting ready for my 38th year doing K-State football games. Yes.
How about me? You got the Lions. I got 38. Let's go to the Cats. And
I think yours is harder.
Well, I just watched on Sunday Sound Off last night, so I know. Anyway, the Cats... obviously, high expectations. This team is a favorite or among the favorites to win the league. Those are the expectations at Kansas State. Chris Kleiman's got it up and running. That's another substance guy, and he has a lot of different things in place. I started out asking potential areas of concern. What might one or two be for the Cats? Because they have a lot of things going from them, from Avery Johnson at quarterback down the line.
Well, obviously, the thing about depth is going to be one thing. Getting Dylan Edwards in at running back for K-State from Colorado, the transfer in, a kid who grew up near Wichita and Derby, helps because DJ Giddens is such a good running back. So I think they took care of the running back position if you battle through some injuries. But the quarterback position, Danny, you went from Will Howard and Avery Johnson last year. Think how powerful of room of quarterbacks that was as you look at the Heisman odds and things like that with Will Howard now being at Ohio State. If Avery Johnson were not available to play, there is a big, giant step to inexperience or K-State knowledge. So that's probably the biggest risk. A little bit maybe like Kansas football, right? The starting quarterback is so good, and maybe Missouri too. I mean, you don't know about some of these freshmen that come in for all these schools, so I don't want to write them off. But generally, the quarterback position is going to be so important to stay healthy for these three things. That's for K-State. The other thing, Danny, is the K-State Wildcats are facing an NFL type of year in the fact that they only play 6 home games with 6 road games. Very rare in modern football. It's almost always 7 home, 5 road. So the Cats, after week 1 being a big favorite against UT Martin, head right on the road to go to Tulane and play outside in giant humidity early in the year against a good Tulane football team. They also play at Colorado and at BYU in the altitude, and Iowa State at the end of the year in that cold weather on the grass. So K-State's West Virginia. Don't forget they got to go to West Virginia too. So the Cats are possibly favored in all 12 of the games, Danny. But like in NFL, the Chiefs are going to be favored in what? All 17 of their games, probably?
Probably.
Are you writing down Chiefs for 16-1 or 17-0? Is that?
No.
No. See how we accept that in the NFL? This is going to be very interesting because the K-State fans, like the Kansas fans and much more like the Missouri fans, they think this is the year college football playoff going to make the Big 12 championship game, won it 2 years ago in 22, figure they're going to be back and doing it again with no Oklahoma and Texas around. Those expectations don't leave a lot of room for error. And how does that play in a social media world where these players, before they even leave the stadium, on the bus, Danny, their phone is blowing up with all kinds of notices and stuff. What happens if they struggle at a game? What happens if they lose a close game? I know what Chris Kleiman thinks. Get back to work.
Right.
But what is it going to be like this year? The hype is off the charts. K-State fans believe 10-2, maybe 11-1 or 12-0 sound a lot better. And I don't think that single-digit wins is on anybody's mind yet. It's going to be very competitive in these games. So I just think how everyone handles the expectations that are going to be laid on their shoulders, it's going to be very interesting because all three of the team's fans are so excited. I'm happy about that. It's going to be so much fun. But from a player and coach perspective, how are they going to handle these expectations and ease their way into the season and keep their focus? And what happens if they have an off day or a loss? How are they going to respond? We know how social media and the fans are going to respond, Danny. The world's going to blow up. But how do the players handle this? It'll be very interesting for all three of these teams because they really do all have a chance, unbelievably, to make the college football playoff. They really do. But you got to give them some room to work through their season. By being a conference champ, they can get in even if they lose an early game. So everyone's just going to have to calm down a little, and that ain't going to happen, Danny. I can say that all I want. I'm so excited. The fans are so excited. But for the players, how do they handle all this? And what about the backup quarterbacks for each of these three schools? Those are giant question marks about how well they would play if needed.
It's fall, so Stan and I spend a lot of time together. Saturdays on Sports Radio 810 WHB, Mondays on this podcast. Stan, always a pleasure. Look forward to doing it all fall long.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
That's Stan Weber. You can hear him Saturday on the K-State Network and with me at 9 o'clock on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The rest of the weekend comes your way next. Royals, sporting, golf, all kinds of good stuff to talk about right here on Monday Musings, Danny and Friends Sports Wrap. It's presented by Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's always great to get an update from Dr. Brad Woodall from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. 8 locations all around Kansas City, including the newest one in Raytown.
We are very excited to join the Raytown community. We just took over for Dr. David Frey, who retired and has then shared all of his patients with us to take great care of.
They do it all year round, and that means in the fall as well, when people get back to raking leaves and participating in fall sports, all those kinds of things, right?
Back to school means back for fun. Full backpack, we can help as your chiropractor. If you're starting fall sports, we want to make sure you have that physical, and we want to make sure you're in great shape. And if injuries happen, we've got your back.
And you've got it all around Kansas City at 8 different locations for Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Visit asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny.
We're here at the 23rd Street Brewery with Matt Llewellyn. And Matt, you've got a great menu. You fine-tuned it a little bit. Great beers. There's always something to be had to put a smile on your face at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Oh, you bet. And Brian Haney would always say, come have the Haney turkey stack. Bill Self would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. I would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. It's great. Great mac and cheese, buffalo mac and cheese. And we've got a ton of other menu items that you're sure to love. We've got a great brewer who's brewing great beer. And if you like craft beer, our guy's the way to go. And we're making great drinks, too. There's a great new distillery in the state of Kansas called Llewellyn Distillery. My brother's doing that. He makes some great whiskey and vodka and rum, and we're doing all kinds of great drinks with those beverages.
Always fun to be had at the 23rd Street Brewery, 23rd and Castle. Come on by anytime and have a good time. If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business to Kansas City's #1 variety podcast, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you.
Welcome back. Well, I kind of pity the fans who showed up on Sunday, about 18,000 of them at the K. They didn't get to see vintage Royals baseball. The Royals were sloppy, made a lot of defensive mistakes, didn't hit very much, although they knocked it over the wall 3 times, so the fans got to enjoy that. But it was blistering hot out, a really kind of rough day to be sitting in the stands. Those lower bowl seats, everybody was escaping to the shade, and he probably took a fifth row seat